Garland in the corner. He's got it.
Feed stands. Pow! With the running in.
Mitchell shakes. Up to the basket. And thunders it home. Oh! Mobley throws it down.
And Allen blocked the shot at the rim.
Welcome to Chase Down Podcast, part of the Cavs media family. I'm your host, Justin Rowan. The Chase Down is presented by Fubo, the official streaming partner of the Cavs. Watch over 350 channels of live sports and TV, including FanDuel Sports Network without cable. There's no cost and no commitment. Try for free at FuboTV.com/Cavs. The Cavs come away from their home back-to-back with 2 wins. Joining me today is my co-host, Carter Rodriguez. Carter, that might seem like an abrupt intro, but I'm a little out of practice. I was sitting here thinking, and 2 things have occurred for the first time since November 17th. Sam Merrill made a 3-pointer for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we are doing a post-game podcast after a Cavs win. It has been over a month, and it feels really, really good.
Yeah, man. It's been a hard month for us, for the team, and it does feel like not all is solved. I think there's still plenty to point at and still plenty to prove for this team. But I'll tell you what makes the medicine go down a lot easier is 280 points in 2 nights. The offense has just really exploded for this team. Sam's return has just meant the world to this team. And even DeAndre Hunter has really woken up. Obviously, he had an amazing game after getting whapped in the face by Moussa Diabate against the Hornets. But more than anything, Justin, just kind of feels like the team's shot making is back. And you hate to be reductionist, but it makes things a lot easier if you hit all your open threes.
Yeah, honestly, when Darius and Donovan are playing this well, it's going to paper over a lot of issues, right? I think back to basically these last 2 weeks, and Darius was in his slump while Donovan was playing really well. Then Donovan was not playing well, kind of battling some illness there. And, as a result of that, you just kind of had this alternating version of both of the guards where one's playing great, one's playing poorly, one's playing poorly, one's playing great. And then against Charlotte, both of them came out guns blazing. They played fantastic in that matchup. And then tonight against the Pelicans, it was a balanced performance. Darius was able to kind of sit back as a playmaker, obviously questionable to come into this game with a quad contusion. Donovan kind of felt like he took a back seat for a while and then just scored when they needed it. It's a much, much more balanced approach from the Cavs. Obviously, these aren't world beaters. These aren't the teams that the Cavs want to compare themselves up against.
So the Pelicans had won 5 in a row going into this game, which is a lot better than the Cavs have done in the last 5 games, in fairness.
Not only had they won 5 in a row, but they won games against the Rockets. That one went into overtime where they scored 133 points. So we know that they can score against a very good defense. And they beat Dallas, who just beat Denver tonight, right? This is a team that was on a good streak. Worth noting that they didn't have Herb Jones. He did get hurt last night. So that's an obvious caveat here. But these are quality wins. They are wins where the Cavs' effort level is where it needed to be. And just because the effort level is where it needed to be doesn't mean you're not going to have lapses. It doesn't mean you're not going to have bad defensive possessions. But with Evan Mobley not available, this is the level that they have to play at if they're going to give themselves a chance to compete.
Yeah. Man, Justin, I don't think, I don't think I understood how much the Cavs missed Sam Merrill, even though I missed him. I just think he is really taken up his game another notch this season. And the more you kind of see him with this team these last 2 games, it's so clear that he is really what they've been missing. Not just in terms of his ability as a shooter, which obviously that does a lot, they couldn't make threes and they added the best shooter on the team back to the roster. So that's great. That's obviously valuable. The playmaking has been really, really strong this year. I don't think you would be forgiven for, when you hear, Sam's going to get more playmaking reps in the offseason for being All right, well, let's believe it when we see it. Just
we'll see how those go.
Yeah, because
Right.
the handle's never been like the greatest strength. He's not a guy who scores a bunch at the rim, but the in-between parts of his game are so strong this year that he's able to get to the hoop and get close enough and be a threat to score in those spots to the point where a defender has to take a step towards him and he's able to throw a lob to Jarrett, or he's able to make his own layup. So that's been amazing. Obviously on the defensive end, the compete level and focus, just he doesn't mess up.
Yeah.
And they've been messing up so much over this month that
he's out there making the right rotations, right? There was a couple where I noticed him going under unnecessarily on a screen against Charlotte, but I thought overall it was a breath of fresh air. I thought his defensive rotations have been on time. He knows where he needs to be. He's talking out there. He's communicating. And then against the Pelicans, I thought defensively he was really, really sound.
Yeah, he at one point New Orleans was running in semi-transition, and this is one of those plays that the Cavs have just botched over and over again this year, where they're not talking, they're not communicating, and you can literally watch Sam hooting and hollering, telling who he's got, pointing, communicating, all these soft skills that really, really matter. And then the practicality of just playing a starting lineup with Donovan and Darius and Sam. Donovan takes 16 shots in this game. 10 of them are from 2. And he goes 9 of 10 from the line, I want to say.
Yeah.
Or from 2-point field goal range. And he was just getting into the paint every single time. It's as there were some times early in the season where we were a little critical of Donovan for picking his spots as a driver when the team really needed it. But talk about a lineup that allows him to drive with aplomb, and so I thought he was phenomenal, and I think Sam's presence in that starting lineup is a big part of it.
Yeah, you don't normally associate rim pressure with Sam Merrill, but he was genuinely helping them generate that tonight, right? The dribble drive stuff is much improved from last season. The pick and roll he ran with Allen to throw the lob was super encouraging, and I know in the past I've said, not when it comes to shooting, because I do think out of the two, Sam is the better shooter. But when it comes to kind of those supplemental traits, I've always said, Sam kind of brings 80% of what Max brings. I think he's bumped that up to 90%. I don't think he's as good of a defender as Max. Obviously, Max has more size. I do think Max is the better playmaker, but Sam's bringing a lot of what Max brings to the table.
And by the way, what Sam brings at his best is stuff that Max can't bring.
Right.
Sam is just an insane shooter. And Max is a very good shooter.
Right. That's why I started this off by saying I do think that Sam is the better shooter of the two. But in terms of those other traits, he's really leveling the playing field in meaningful ways. And when you think about the Cavs offense, so much of it is predicated on decision making, right? We're going to have guys cutting, we're going to have movement, we're going to have motion. We want guys that can make the right reads and the right decisions. Having someone that's intelligent like Sam Merrill out there that is making those right reads, that is experienced within the offense, it's just such a benefit versus guys that are looking to get comfortable, right? Whether it's Jalen Tyson's been terrific this year, but I think you saw a learning curve for him. Someone like Craig Porter Jr., who was terrific tonight, but there are times where there's been an adjustment period or the ball stops. I think you feel it most with Lonzo, where he's trying to find his spot. And from a rim pressure standpoint, he doesn't bring any of that to the table. So when you take those possessions and you replace it with Sam, who is not only playing well like he did last season, but has actually taken his game to another level, I do think it shows you how better offense can make every other aspect of the game easier, and better offense and more intelligent players and better spacing. All of that just makes the offense better, right? When you get the better looks, it generates future better looks, right? And they were double teaming Darius at times. Sam knew what to do in those situations. New Orleans was hitting them with the full court press. Have you ever seen a team press the Cavs as much as New Orleans did in this game without it feeling like the offense got disjointed?
And
Like,
Cavs only had 13 turnovers.
the offense didn't feel disjointed at any point tonight. And you had Alvarado pressing full court. You had New Orleans pressuring full court. That's not something that we've seen even in better versions of this Cavs team. So I thought, you know, you have to take it all with a grain of salt. We need to see what can be sustained, and we know that the schedule is about to get difficult. But I thought that this was a legitimately encouraging step in the right direction.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on Sam before we move on, just because I just wanted to make sure we gave him his flowers, because, like, you know, he didn't have his best year last year. You know, like, he didn't shoot that well to his standard, and like, so, like, part of me was like, man, like, you know, when you go into this offseason and, you know, they really commit to him, like, there's a lot of pressure on this guy. This team really needs him to be great, given the construction of the rest of that bench. And, like, he's just answered the call so unbelievably well this year. And in many ways, much as, like, Max can be such a tone setter for this team in terms of his attitude, in terms of, you know, like, the nastiness he plays with, I do think there's something to, like, Sam's professionalism, relentlessness in his own way that does set a tone for this team. And because it's like, it's hard to be lazy when you watch this guy out on the floor, like, really putting out every ounce of effort he has, communicating at all times, never ever, like, making a mistake. Like, it does kind of just raise your bar across the board. I mean, he averaged 7 points a game last year. He's at 13. He's nearly doubling his points per game output.
Yeah.
While adding a whole assist to his assists per game total. So I've just been really, really impressed. I never expected, you know, to love every Sam Merrill minute this much. And it just goes to show you, man, players can just keep growing. And, like, yeah, the shooting will probably cool off. He's not going to be at 47% or whatever he is for the year. He's just been shooting the absolute cover off the ball. But this guy going into his age 29 season got 10-15% better at the weak parts of his game, and it's completely unlocked the stuff that he was already great at too.
Yeah.
So I just want to give him a lot of credit, because he has excelled in ways I just didn't foresee happening.
Yeah, you know, I think you are correct to give him the credit that you're giving here, because I do think it adds a lot. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Cavs are 11-3 when he plays this season, right? Like, he does bring a lot to the table, and he makes it more difficult to deal with Darius. It makes it more difficult to deal with Donovan. The two-man game with Jared Allen, like, I'm really, really encouraged with what I saw there. And, you know, there was a play where the gravity of Sam opened up Darius for a cut that Jared found him on. Like, all of those plays were super encouraging. And I just feel like the effort over the last 3 games has been trending in the right direction. It hasn't been perfect. There have been times where I've wanted to pull my hair out, particularly with the transition defense. It still needs to get better. This team still has to play at a higher level than they are right now. But I feel like it's starting to trend in a positive direction. Like, even going back, you know, it's been 3 games since we last podcasted. The loss against Chicago. If Jalen Tyson didn't have such a disastrous game, or if Donovan Mitchell played in that game, they probably win that game despite the issues that they were having, right? Like, if I look at that 1-4 stretch that the Cavs had, it felt really bad. But their defensive rating over that stretch was 116. Like, it wasn't like, you know, they were getting absolutely torched, and a whole lot of that 116 was coming in transition. It probably would have been worse if they were playing better teams, but I do think that it's important to add that context to it. I at least feel like the effort's getting to where it needs to, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to be tested over these next 3 games. There's no doubt about that. But I at least feel better about their chances of getting a game or 2 over this 3-game stretch than I did prior to these last couple.
Yeah, I mean, what did Kenny say during that 5-day off stretch that they were really drilling on in film? It was effort and focus, like and discipline. And I think they've generally addressed the effort side of the coin pretty well these last couple games. I think the focus is still where you see things. You got
to rebuild those habits, man.
Yeah, that stuff just takes time. Yeah. But I'll take the effort in the short term at the very, very least. And while you don't want to give up 130 to the Hornets, at the same time, their shot making was bananas in that game. I don't think that they had a bunch of points late when the Cavs had kind of thrown it in. So I think generally they are trending up. But it is
that was the first win that the Cavs have had this season where I feel like they played better than the score.
Yeah, that's a great point. But I don't know. I just feel like we're seeing little baby steps. This team's gonna have to win on the offensive side of the floor right now, and maybe for the whole season. That is what they're going to be. I think they're going to be more of an offensive team than a defensive team with the personnel they're playing on a night-to-night basis. And they were last year, and they won 64 games. So that's not a slight, but you got to have a shot to win if you get to 120. And so and I don't think the Cavs defense of effort, a week or two ago was really made that sentence true. Whereas right now, I think it is.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've been looking at too is even though they're not a high turnover team, they have had a disproportionate number of live ball turnovers relative to kind of the dead ball turnovers. And cleaning up that sort of thing in addition to better offensive shot making is going to reduce the number of those transition opportunities that you're giving up, right? Obviously the Cavs spacing and floor balance needs to be better. That's attention to detail stuff, that's focus stuff to take away some of those opportunities. But the transition defense wasn't this glaring issue the entire season. It has been at spurts. It has been for a quarter or two at a time. But if you do get the better shot making, if you take better care of the basketball, or at least, don't have the same volume of live ball turnovers, it's going to reduce the number of those opportunities, right? And there is no perfect team in today's NBA. The Thunder are pretty damn close, but even OKC even when OKC won last year, right? It wasn't like they were without flaws. That was still a terrible defensive rebounding team. That was a team that had things that you could poke at. Now, their margin for error was huge because they were so good at what they were great at, and they're even better at those things now. But, there are still flaws within every roster in the NBA. And the Cavs right now, it's not fun. I said this at the end of the last podcast, but what we've done in past seasons is we have adjusted our expectations for this team based on how they were performing, and that has been over the last few years in a positive direction. Right now, we have to temper those expectations. We need to solve being good in the regular season again so that we can lay a foundation to start trying to problem solve some of the issues that we've seen in the playoffs, right? That is still a question that needs to be resolved at some point here. But before we get there, we need to get back on track when it comes to this team performing at a consistent level in the regular season.
You're not wrong, brother. Really, really excited to see them kind of just finding something together, getting them, everyone swimming in the same direction again. Even if, it doesn't require last season where you really couldn't point to anyone struggling. But just getting back to hey, we're going to pick you up when you're struggling, and we're going to effort our way through any slop or any variance. That's the level of togetherness that we haven't seen this season, that we are seeing now.
Yeah. And obviously a big part of it goes back to what I said before. When both guards are playing well, it gives this team a big margin for error. And Darius playing a whole lot better, I think, is a massive part of this. He looks like himself. He's moving around well. You look at the last 5 games, he's averaging 23 and 8 on 47-50 shooting. this looks like Darius Garland again. And he talked to our buddy Spin Davies saying that the toe is just progressively feeling better and better. I know there were people that have been speculating that not only will this be something that derails this entire season, but it's going to derail his entire career. Maybe a coincidence that some of those people haven't been big believers and have wanted to make changes there. But I think Darius, getting going in the right direction, moving more like himself. You heard Sam talking about after the game. It just makes everything easier for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, he's been really, really phenomenal. He gets into the paint. He consistently is able to get guys clean looks. So even when the scoring isn't going nuts, it just kind of doesn't matter that much for this team's offensive floor. Like he can bring that up and really meaningfully just kind of by existing make this offense work a lot better. Like he didn't have a great game today. He had 10 points, but 8 assists in this one to 3 turnovers, had 10 against the Hornets, 8 against the Bulls. Like just kind of feels like everything's adding up and up and up for him. And I still think the defense is going to be a work in progress as he gets comfy again. And, I think he's maybe rightly putting a little bit more of his attention on the offensive end of the floor right now. But the 3 is looking really, really clean again. He didn't even shoot that well today. But, we're getting our little hop, skip, and a jump Darius back after he gets the release off. It's just really nice to see, man. He's a guy I root for just about as hard as anyone in the league, and to see him kind of finding his footing again after a pretty rough start to the year, it feels great. And the fact that he got hurt yesterday and came and played today.
Yeah, it just everything looks better when you're in sync. And that's why tools like Zoom Workplace are so important, because teams move fastest when everybody's in sync. Zoom Workplace keeps meetings, chats, documents, and more together so your workflow is like a perfect play. Keep work moving and zoom ahead with Zoom Workplace. I think the thing that's really encouraging when it comes to Darius is it's very clear that he is still playing through some level of pain, right? Like that's something that Kenny's talked about. He's talked about it. It's just managing it, right? It's encouraging to see that it's going in the right direction, but it's also encouraging to see, hey, I can be at not 100% and still be productive, right? Like I thought today was a bit more of a passive game. Obviously playing with the quad contusion. I didn't think he was moving as well as he did against Charlotte, but it still felt like he was in control of what he was doing out there, right? He just understood, I'm just not going to be as assertive today. I'm going to set guys up. I thought his passing was brilliant, and he was still a net positive out there. That's the type of stuff we want to see, right? Like it's the self-awareness, not playing in a way where, man, I'm not feeling 100%, so I'm just going to try to grift and get to the free throw line, or I'm going to force things and press a little bit. Like I just feel it was a more mature performance, and we're seeing a more mature performance from Darius over these last few games. I just think that everything is trending in the right direction. As you said, the defense isn't as good as it's been the last couple years, but I do feel even that is starting to move in a more positive direction as well.
Yeah, I think he's just got to get to the point where the toe doesn't hurt as much, or he trusts it more. The fact that we are seeing that he's saying it's feeling better, obviously, grain of salt on that kind of stuff, but like it's what you want to hear. You don't want to just hear, yeah, it hurts, but I'll be fine. Like, because that,
right.
That does leave you in a different kind of headspace as a fan than you do if, when it's like, yeah, man, like it's a little bit hard, but I'm seeing progress. I'm seeing the things I need to see. And it's just a matter of getting comfortable. And like, it does feel like we're in the latter camp here. An optimistic person might hope that by the time we get to the postseason, it feels fine.
Yeah, I mean, let's just look at the data that's available to us. He came back about a month and a half ago, and he looks considerably better than he did, when he first arrived, right? The little setbacks aren't as prominent. He played in a back-to-back tonight. We've seen him kind of get those stingers where someone steps on his foot or he steps on Jarrett's foot against Charlotte, and he still moves fine after, right? Like there might be 1 or 2 minutes where it's a little tender, but then he gets back to the burst. It's not like Miami where he was very clearly laboring after that. So it feels like it's trending in a positive direction. We still have about 5 months to go before the playoffs start, right? Like that is a considerable amount of time. It's almost as much time between the date of his surgery and when he first played, right? Like that is a ton of time for this to get better and going in the right direction. How is the
season so long and so short at the same time, man? Because like it feels like the season just started and they've played almost half the season, but we still have 5 months left.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like I think April 21st or 22nd is typically when the Cavs play the first game of the playoffs. So like there is so much time for them to work stuff out.
But just for the record, that would be 4 months.
Well, it's 4. Yeah. No, it's 5. I'll do this math later. Because we're on the 12.
12-1, 1-2, 2-3, 3-4, Justin.
We're getting bogged down here.
We are counting from 0 to 4. This is not advanced arithmetic.
No, there's some creative accounting. I can find a way to be right here.
What is the matter with you?
By the end of the podcast, I'll be right here. Don't you worry. I'll figure it out. But anyways, my point remains. The Cavs still have a lot of time to figure it out. They still have time to integrate Max, to get Mobley back in the mix, right? Like, and for Darius to feel more like himself, right? So you just hope that there isn't any significant setbacks and that this team is trending in a positive direction from a health standpoint.
Yeah, you really do want to see it. Obviously, it stinks that going into Christmas we're not going to see, Evan
I'm wrong. You're right. It is 4. I have to look up on my calendars.
I just counted. What do you mean? What do you have to look up?
Can't trust you.
I counted out loud. There's not trust
Imperial.
here.
Yeah, whatever.
This is I'm going to have a hard time finishing the podcast. This is unbelievable. That you had to fact check counting to 4.
Listen, we're in a post-fact society. I can say anything I want.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll tell you what. Let's talk about the bench. Kenny moves Jalen Tyson to the bench. No indication, unless I missed it in his post-game availability, that whether this was a permanent or a temporary thing. Jalen obviously was, after having a absolutely bananas month up to this point, had 2 of his worst games of the season in a row. I don't know if that was why this happened or if it was just Sam's back and Sam's awesome, which is a very justifiable thing right now for this team. But what a cool response from Tyson. Has 18 points on 13 shots, hits threes, couple really tough tip out offensive rebounds. What did you see from him in this one?
Well, what I love from Tyson in this game was that he comes into it in a bit of a slump and he starts off poorly, right? Like he misses some shots. He had a shot at the rim that didn't really even have a chance, and he didn't pout. He didn't sulk at all, right? He generated those 2 tip outs that were nuts, right? Like he got up there at the apex, batted them out, and got rewarded in both of those instances, both with a drive, which was a tremendous finish. I was so thrilled that he got it to go down. And then the second tip out, which Donovan recognized, hey, another effort from Jalen Tyson, and makes the savvy pass to him in the corner to knock it down. Like that to me is what you want to see. You want to see that resilience. You want to see that recognition from Donovan to reward Jalen in that situation. And he turned it all around, right? Like he had a really, really good game for this team. And I'm curious to see what Kenny does. Like I could see starting Sam. I could see starting Jalen. The Knicks do have a good amount of size. So I think you could potentially start Jalen in that matchup. He's been playing well in general. Maybe this was about Zion Williamson coming in off the bench and trying to match those minutes up. But I do think Sam's a viable option as well, right? Like he is giving you a lot of what you're missing, particularly on the offensive end, giving you some of that supplemental playmaking that Max typically provides. And the Cavs are going to need that. They're going to need that against a very good Knicks team. So I can see either direction, but the biggest thing overall here is as this team gets healthier, they're no longer going to be last in the league when it comes to bench production, right? Like I wasn't able to fact check this, but 57 points off the bench tonight, that feels like a season high. I would be very, very surprised if we had a game where the bench performed better than that. And, you know, Craig was obviously terrific. Thomas Bryant was terrific. You mentioned DeAndre Hunter earlier, how he played well against Charlotte and played decently tonight.
He played fine tonight, even though he didn't shoot.
Yeah, right. Like I thought in general, the decision making was pretty good. Still an adventure sometimes with the passing. I'll say that. But I like the attempts that he took. And the other thing is when he doesn't have it going, when he has a poor shooting night like tonight, you don't have to play him as many minutes when this team's healthier, right? When you do have other options to go to, when Sam is a flamethrower and Jalen Tyson's giving you great minutes, there's optionality that just wasn't there before.
Yeah, I think I said that on our last podcast is like, you know, like if you want to be a couch coach when the team's not playing well and be like, they need to play his ass on the bench. Like, well, Kenny didn't really have a choice in a lot of these spots, and
you're not going to Chris Livingston. All due respect,
and the players, you know, like kind of just have. I mean, you can't just be like, well, I'm having a bad game, so I can't play. I can't play anymore. Like, well, I'm out here, so I've got to keep playing my game as best I can, and like, so I just think the optionality really, really helps. It takes a lot of pressure off. And one thing I did want to say about Tyson before, I know we've mostly moved on, but 6 of 9 from 2-point range in this game. That just, the fact that he's continuing to show touch and finishing around the hoop is just really important to me, especially, by the way, if he's going to come off the bench. Because, you know, with the starters, I think the 2-point field goal attempts are pretty much going to be limited to broken plays, transition. Like, otherwise, you're going to be a spacer and a shooter. And he's been really, really good at that. But if he's going to come off the bench and only have one of the lead guards initiating, there's a little bit more room to explore the space. And I think the Cavs kind of need more people to explore the space on that front. You know, they're still missing the Ty Jerome kind of getting to the teeth of the defense thing when it's not one of the stars. So I just really want to shout out his living in the paint a little bit more, because I think it really takes this team's bench lineups to another level when he's getting volume buckets, not just on a catch and shoot variety.
Yeah, and not just off cuts either, right? Like I've been impressed that there has been a decent amount that's been self-created, right? Whether it's him getting all the way to the rim off the dribble or pulling up for the floater. Like he showed nice touch on that floater and nice body control. He just seems more confident in terms of what he's going to do when he is attacking the basket versus earlier in the season, where I think you saw indecision lead to some really poor attempts at the rim. And I don't think it was reflective of his finishing touch. Like I think the finishing touch has been really high now that he is taking off with a lot more confidence. And you know, it's you're right. Like, I don't think he's going to be the long-term starter for the team this season, right? Like, I think once Max is back, he's probably going to be the most likely candidate here.
I still don't know about that. I've been thinking a lot about that question of, you know, because like I thought when Jalen got the starting spot from DeAndre, like maybe there's a chance he just holds on to it. You kind of sold me on that case, and then Tyson has a couple of bad games, and you go, can this team really afford this? You know, so like I'm kind of two minds. I feel like if the rest of the team can maintain their compete level, can maintain their focus, and get close to last year's standards, it's a little easier to say, hey, Tyson, you're going to be our starter, even if it's more of an honorary one and we close with Max or DeAndre on most nights. But I think while they're still trying to find themselves a little bit, it doesn't seem hard to say, Max, thank God you're back. How's it 17 minutes off the bench sound?
I think that might be how it starts. But I do think, particularly on the defensive end and just having someone that's going to make the right rotations, right? Like I think you really saw what a difference that makes even with Sam Merrill tonight. DeAndre Hunter hadn't been doing that. Jalen Tyson still gets lost off ball and gets back cut at times, right? Like, I just think having a little bit more stability is probably what's going to win out here. But there's certainly a case for it, right? Like, Jalen Tyson is improving on the defensive end. It's possible that, that is the situation where they're most insulated with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen out there. Like, there are a lot of different ways that you can go. I just think, almost history and inertia is going to get Max Strus back into there. And I'm a massive Max fan too, right? Like, I just like what he brings from an intangible standpoint.
Me too. And I will say, like, the idea of, once this team gets healthy, if they get healthy, which you hope the stars line at some point, getting back to like this version of Sam, this version of Jalen, and DeAndre and Dean all off the bench, like that's a very imposing second group that can plug and play, and all of those guys can hang with the starters on any given night. So I think ultimately, even though you made a great pitch for it like three pods ago of like, what if Jalen just stays the starter? I think the more I look at it, and the more of what I think this team just desperately needs, it's just a little too cute.
Yeah. Like, him making it a conversation is a net win, right? Like,
yes.
and this is something that, hey, maybe you can go to, right? Whether it's, I still think the whole starting conversation is overblown. Like, I think we assign too much weight to it, just historically. But Jalen Tyson absolutely deserves to be in that conversation, and that's a win. And again, as bleak as some of this has felt, there is a version of this where, all right, Darius is looking more like himself. Donovan is playing fantastic. I liked what we got from Jared tonight. Evan was already trending in the right direction, and we've seen him come back and not have slow starts from injuries before. If those four are doing what we expect them to do, and like you said, you're getting the best version of Sam Merrill. Max comes back and is himself. DeAndre starts rounding into form, right? Like, Jalen Tyson is playing the way that he is. It's not hard to see how this can turn around, and this long ass season where, the number of months that it is could be disputed by some, that we forget about these first couple, and we just go on a run, and the Cavs feel good again, and we get back to the conversations that we thought we'd be having this season.
Boy, wouldn't that be nice? But these are the steps. These are the steps we're begging them to take. And now it's time to go prove to us that it's not just that we beat up on a couple bad teams that we should have been beaten up on. It's like time to re-raise that standard another notch in a really, really high, high visibility public game. We're playing on Christmas again, Justin. It's so exciting. And I just really hope that they show up. The Knicks have been absolute world beaters, though they've now lost two in a row, or two of their last three, sorry. But had prior won like seven in a row. So like, this is a Knicks team that's in good form, that is going to make you guard, that is going to make you consistently work on both ends of the floor. And I'm excited to see whether the Cavs are like able to meet the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we would like to have Evan Mobley in this game. No, not only for the defensive purposes, but historically, or at least going back to last year, he had a lot of success going at Karl Anthony Towns and made forced the Knicks into tougher decisions. You're not going to have that luxury here, but
gauntlet throw at Jarrett and gauntlet throw at the guards to say run, pick and roll. Like, this team is still not running, at least to my amateur eyes, as much pick and roll as they ran last year. Not as many easy opportunities for Jarrett just to catch and yam.
And that's still something that the Knicks struggle with at times defending, right? Like,
at the end of the day, they still have Brunson and Cat.
Right. And, it's, I'll be interested to see, how Kenny approaches that game, because I do think what we saw tonight with as I mentioned before, Sam generating rim pressure, but also someone like Craig Porter Jr. playing really, really well. Like we've seen him play well against the Knicks before, and he added a lot of rim pressure for the Cavs. 12, 8, and 8 with 3 stocks. Like this was some great minutes from Craig. Dean's been playing more confident. You can tell that Darius in particular is really getting on him to shoot when the ball swings to him. Anytime he passes up the shot, Darius gets a little demonstrative, but they're pushing in the right direction here. So because there's some optionality, even though the Cavs are shorthanded, I'm curious to see what the chess battle is like for Kenny, because we've seen good from Lonzo, particularly on the defensive end at times. We've seen him be disruptive, but there's next to no rim pressure when he's out there, right? And I think you see the difference it makes when you have someone like Sam Merrill in that role, who is more decisive, who is a threat to shoot from 3, and probably ran more kind of pick and rolls in the last 2 games and generated those roll opportunities than Lonzo has this season.
Yep. I just continue to feel like Craig is earning these minutes. Whenever he gets an extended run, it's not just the ability to put rim pressure on, it's the rebounding, it's the splash plays, it's the ability to convert. I just think Lonzo is just having a hard time with that. Like they had a 3-on-1 against the Hornets that they weren't able to get a good look on because he wasn't able to get that kind of rim pressure. He wasn't able to attack in a way that made the defense afraid. And like a 3-on-1 just needs to be a dunk. Like it just does. It has to be so easy that it is a foregone conclusion. And as they were attacking that 3-on-1, I felt anxious. I was like, oh man, are we going to be able to get a good shot here? And like that. And I don't feel that way with Craig on balance for the most part, just because of the burst, the dynamicism, the touch. So I continue to think he should be our backup point guard for at least a little while. Obviously, if he's having a really bad game, no harm in trying Lonzo out. But we'll see. To your point, where Kenny kind of leans as the season wears on.
You want to finish this pod off with some generic praise?
Yeah, let's give some generic praise to who?
Thomas Bryant, baby. This was a fun Thomas Bryant game. He's been playing pretty well lately, and I'm just enjoying the Thomas Bryant experience. He is a big personality out there. He gives me like at least 2 moments a game that caused me to burst out laughing. The too small and to be like tripping over his own feet was incredible. Like I'm loving the Thomas Bryant experience.
You know what I felt in that moment is like that's what would happen to me if I ever tried the too small. Sally.
I like the broadcast on Peacock calling him out for playing in retro shoes too.
Austin Rivers cannot abide.
No, I think this is the second time that he's called them out for doing that on the broadcast. I enjoy the Peacock broadcast. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think they do a nice job.
It's a good addition to the overall mix, and Thomas Bryant has also been that for the Cavs. So big shout out to Thomas Bryant.
And he's hitting his threes really, really well. He was at 40% for the month going into this game. He obviously hit 2 more, went 2 of 2 in this game, 6 of 8 from the field. I just like the physicality and the touch around the rim, getting a couple blocks here and there. I don't think he's really been super impactful in the defensive end, but like I just like the decisiveness, the energy, just the passion. Like I just really like what he's brought for this team. And I wonder if there's a world in which he holds on to that rotation spot even when Larry gets back. I think that'll be an interesting thing just to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. There were some ups and downs with Larry this year. I did like some of what he brought, particularly earlier in the season. Hopefully he can get right and make that a conversation, right? We want to see as much competition as possible. We want all of these guys to be good options, but Thomas Bryant finding a bit of a rhythm has certainly been encouraging. So hopefully the Cavs can keep this going and give ourselves a winning streak here. Let's get a 3rd one on Christmas. That would be a lot of fun. Big thanks to everyone that tuned in live on YouTube. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Click that notification bell so you know when we're going live. If you're listening via podcast and you want to support us, leave us a rating, leave a review, subscribe, unsubscribe, and resubscribe, and help cook those books. If you want to be part of Chase Down's exclusive Discord chat, send a screenshot of their video, chasedownpod@gmail.com. However you choose to support us, we really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys are staying safe out there. Until next time, go Cavs.